Hello there. Good evening. Tonight's topic, as has been many of the videos I've made. This one is going to center around the vaccination made by Pfizer as well as other companies. Uh, First things first, there's some people who say, well, it wasn't the Americans who developed the vaccine first, and I would like to make a correction on that. Some people say, well, Pfizer's a German company, and it was two, I believe, Turkish scientists who discovered a vaccination process that would work. And for starters, one, pharmaceutical companies don't know borders. Big pharma is a real thing, and it's a giant conglomerate. And not only that, because of the sinister nature of the pharmaceutical industry, they have a tendency to lie about basically everything. And with modern day viruses, diseases, whatever you could think of, it takes more than one brilliant mind or two brilliant minds or three brilliant minds to manufacture a vaccine or an antidote or a cure, whatever. It can't be done by one person anymore. As far as it being an actual thing that works, rather than discovering something in nature and then slapping a patent on it and then saying, well, you've scientifically discovered the cure for a certain ailment, like with syphilis, for example. They just took something out of nature and synthesized it into something that would work. That's not quite the same as figuring it out. Mankind is not actually very good at inventions. It is my personal belief, for the second part, that Donald Trump purchased the rights to this vaccination. Because what people don't understand is the Chinese have been trying to give us viruses for quite a long time. It's biological warfare, and they feel as though they've taken it on the chin from other countries, in particular the Japanese in World War II, and they hold grudges. They didn't forget about that one little bit, and neither did the Japanese, and neither did the Japanese sincerely apologize for anything. Yeah. So the thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if COVID is 10 years, 15, 20 years, maybe even older, developed in a laboratory in China, and it was only under certain circumstances that it was released. The Chinese government does not have a problem poisoning its own citizens for credibility that this was an accident, that they're trying their best and all that sort of stuff. But it's a facade, and everybody knows it. So it would make sense that they had the time to create a vaccine for it, because they're playing both sides and it makes money. They didn't do it for out of the goodness of their hearts, that's for sure. So this vaccination might be 20 years old, but it was for a disease or a virus that the rest of the world did not know about. And therefore, they had the advantage and the time to develop such vaccine. Donald Trump and the Americans wanted it faster, so they, I believe, purchased the rights from the Chinese for it. Not that our scientists couldn't have figured out a vaccine for COVID-19, but to do so in a timely manner, because this is all about trying to help people as quickly as possible. It's a bit of a not fun situation to be in, but that was the consequences of pulling out of deals with the Chinese Communist Party who are steadily gaining wealth, not sharing that with the citizens, of course not, no. They're building up their military so that they may one day attack and be successful in attacking the West. And I don't mean by cyber warfare, I don't mean a trade war, I mean an actual war. And through viruses, this is probably their most potent threat because the greedy Western capitalists, uh, they bought into the idea of proxy slave labor from the Chinese and the Asian continent entirely, in order to make cheap goods which they sell for a much higher price over here. Their money works differently over in Asia. And, the Chinese wanted to protect their investments and their money, but it was going to an evil entity that had plans on destroying the world. Now, the West always just thought, oh, it'll never come to fruition. Let them, play toy soldiers. Who cares? They'll never develop the technology or anything like that to defeat the West. And they enabled them. But anyway, part of the reason that the pulling out of trade agreements with China pissed them off so much is not only because they lost a bunch of money, but the people that were losing money were also losing power. And when people lose power in any country, but especially in the Chinese Communist Party regime, they tend to get executed. Replaced at very least, because the Chinese Communist Party, in their view, can never lose, and so they're giving it everything they've got to try and make this work again, and really it's a conveyor belt to the slaughterhouse. And people have to see it for what it is. So, people blame Donald Trump for the virus. They say it's his fault because he pulled out of trade deals with the Chinese. And it's like, somebody had to stand up and do it. And the problem was that many people who were making money from the Chinese Communist Party didn't like that idea, didn't like it at all. They saw their profits shrinking. They saw the Chinese retaliatory actions that they took, releasing the virus. You can't do business with a country that releases viruses. You just can't. Yeah. I mean, significant gains were accomplished by Donald Trump's policies, and it's a shame that there are people that want to undo his work simply so they can line their own pockets. Let someone else deal with the problem in future generations. Fuck you, wealthy class. Fuck you. Who bought into that because you didn't like the idea of your profits shrinking. But yes, this vaccination. It is a good thing, but there are some things that people need to understand. For one thing, this virus is very similar to the kind of problems the First Nations suffered. They had no immunity to European diseases, viruses, and things like that, so when they came about, it completely wiped them out, for the most part. But not completely wiped. It did a lot of damage. And the very same thing could happen to us if we're not prepared. And, a lot of people are scared of the idea of a vaccination. Okay, let's explain the difference between a vaccination and a vaccine. A vaccination is just the tools implemented to give someone a vaccine. So, a vaccine is the cure or the antidote or, that sort of stuff. So, a lot of people associate it with inoculations, injections, or I guess in pill form or whatever, a vaccination. And that's not entirely true. That's not the only way it can enter the human body. I believe that there's evidence out there that the government will start putting it into everyday drinking water, straight from the tap. And it would be undetectable by any lower tier scientist, or basically anyone who knows anything about chemistry or any of that sort of stuff. They know how to disguise it. And it needs to be there because there are a lot of people who are scared of vaccinations. They hear bad things about them. They know how bad the pharmaceutical industry is. They're weary of the side effects, of the long-term ones as well. But the problem with that is the government body doesn't typically take no for an answer. In fact, they never do. If they say something, then, it goes. But how to make everyone take a vaccination without weighing down the iron fist and literally forcing people to take it? Well, you could use some economic measures, like you're not allowed to travel, or you can't do certain things or whatever. That would be one method of encouraging people to take it. But they need a foolproof way of making sure that people do take it. And by spiking the water supply, everybody's got to drink water. If you don't drink water, guess what? It's not COVID that's going to get you. It's because you're not drinking water. That's what's going to get you. Of course, it would take longer for the body to absorb it. But yeah, give it a few years. Yeah. However, as creepy as that is, it is the right course of action, because you can't have idiots around deciding for their own self-interest, what's best for them, fuck everybody else. It's like the people who don't wear masks where they're supposed to. It's like you're being selfish, you're thinking about yourself. You may have sanctimonious reasons for why you've chosen that you don't like wearing masks. I don't like wearing a mask, but I wear it because I'm supposed to. I don't have to wear one right now because I'm in my own home. And anti-maskers have a tendency to be anti-vaxxers as well. However, if the population does want to take the vaccination, they will be welcome to at some point when they make enough of it. And it might be an idea that somebody else might have, going, well, they'll put less of this stuff in the drinking water if more people voluntarily take the vaccination. Think about that for a second. What does that mean? Unwieldy mobs, locating people. They'd be kind of easy to find because typically they won't be wearing a mask. They'll probably have a guitar and sandals and, hippies and those type of people. You really can generalize the type of people that wouldn't take the vaccination and, force them to take the vaccination so that the government has no need to place that much of it into the water supply. Of course, that would be, that's really, something that you'd find in a science fiction book. But, oddly enough, it seems to be quite an actual thing. Because I'd rather, bite the bullet, take the vaccination, than have the government go, too many people don't want to take the vaccine. We're going to give it to them anyway. They don't have to know about it. And if anyone asks any questions, we'll simply deny the whole thing. I don't like that idea because it may be less potent, but it's in your system a lot longer, and, the negative long-term consequences of that will be much more severe than, say, an inoculation you may have to have once every 10 years or something like that, like with tetanus. it's such a, creepy topic. I mean, I've made videos actually years ago saying that, yes, the government still puts shit in the water. And I was, hey, now we're here, and guess what? There's a reason for them to do it. Justin Trudeau never wants to look like the bad guy, but he's a two-face. The second you're not looking, he's making decisions you would absolutely despise him for. I mean, everyone says that about Donald Trump, but it's very, very easy for people to say that about other people who are in power. Because that's the name of the game. That's, it comes with the territory, that sort of thing. And that's a fiendishly evil idea for them, the government, to want to put it in the water supply. But there really won't be enough people to voluntarily take the vaccination. And as many people know, if some people take the vaccination and others don't, the vaccination doesn't really work as well or at all because of contaminants. And we do need this, protection from this virus. We can't have it wipe us out because our immune systems were not adapted to it. And that's the other argument that some people make as far as not needing a vaccination. Oh, I never feel sick. Maybe they're in the prime of their youth and they eat well and they don't drink and they don't know what it's like to feel sick. Because typically they don't feel sick. They don't do activities that make them feel sick. They don't smoke cigarettes. They don't drink booze. They eat healthy. And they just genuinely don't ever feel sick. But guess what? COVID-19 doesn't give a rat's ass if you feel sick or not or ever have felt sick. It can come get you anyway, and your body will not know how to deal with it if you have no exposure to it. And it doesn't matter how healthy you are. As I said, pure undiluted COVID-19 could kill an elephant that was 10 times the size or 100 times the size than an actual elephant actually is. Just like that. Because it was a biological weapon. It was designed for the specific purpose of creating terror. And, as many people point out Donald Trump's flaws, you may notice something about the Canadian media. It's all about fear. Everything's about fear as far as this COVID-19. Fear COVID-19 everywhere you go. Put on the sunglasses, motherfuckers. Have a look for yourself. That's all the fucking TV says. And they act like it's this big, great triumph that Joe Biden's taken Donald Trump's place. Or supposedly, allegedly at this point in time. We'll see what happens. But, he's a bit of a slime ball. And, everyone always comes out with the same things. He's like, oh, well, Donald Trump's done some shady dealings. Blah, 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 this, that, blah, 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 that. And it's like, a lot of that stuff Joe Biden would do. And not only that, he would do other stuff too. And they look so petty. Like, every single jab they can take, they're taking it. And they're acting like, they're going to be out of power pretty quick. Once they get in, if they do. Because people are going to wake up and see what kind of government they really are. And their new philosophies and ideological beliefs that they want to push, especially the Justin Trudeau administration, they really need to find someone who can oust that son of a bitch out of power, because that guy, I don't care how pleasant his demeanor is and all that sort of stuff, he is a fucking rat. Total rat. And if you can't see it for yourself, then, well, I guess you're not very intelligent, are you? So, yeah, I mean, I might suggest, it's not illegal to collect rainwater over here in Canada because it rains so much. It might be an idea to collect rainwater. Some places in the States, they have their reasons why they can't collect rainwater. But over here, it rains, especially in Vancouver, the Metro Vancouver area. It rains like a lot around here, so you can collect water. It's okay. Yeah, so, that's going to happen. I mean, and it really is worth thinking about going, well, we don't really want them to do that to what we cherish over here. All because there are a bunch of idiots out there, anti-vaxxers, who are selfishly thinking about themselves and are gripped with fear because of the government propaganda machine over here telling them to be afraid. And they're all eating it up like they're a bunch of fucking pigs at a trough. Why should everyone suffer because of the selfish decisions of a few? And, take it from me. I'd taken many injections against my will. And, I lived through them, and they were for different reasons, and they were far more painful than this COVID-19 vaccination is going to be. So, you know what? Fuck it. As soon as it's public, I'll fucking take it. Despite everything I went through with the medications I had to take, I will still go out and take the vaccination. Fine. When it becomes readily available for everybody. And, this is another one of those topics where there's going to be a divide, where people who make certain life decisions, those life decisions they make for themselves are selfish and impact everybody else. So, free will and, all this other stuff, that it gets put under question when people are being stupid. What more can you add to that? I mean, it's not like this hasn't been done before in the past with fluoride. It's not like it hasn't been portrayed in movies like Batman and Jonathan Crane, the doctor, the psychiatrist, Doctor of Fear, pouring that liquid into the water system in Gotham. In the attempts to vaporize it all, and everyone would, inhale it, and they'd all get stoned or something like that, and, all kinds of horrible things. Those are, not fictional things. Those are real things, and, I'm pretty sure that this vaccination doesn't need to be inhaled through the lungs to affect a person. But who knows? The government wanted to take control of the marijuana industry. And why would they want to do something like that unless they had some sort of nefarious reasons for it? And don't say, oh, it's because it's worth money. Yeah, that's the easy answer. Yes, it is worth money. But what people don't understand is that not everyone in the government makes money from the sales of marijuana that are legally purchased through the government. There are only sectors of the government that profit from it because greed is still very much prevalent. And some people will say, well, alcohol, the government taxes that like crazy. The oil industry, they tax that like crazy. Not the oil industry, but our consumers, they tax us. Yes, they do. But only certain sectors of the government actually profit from them. So that would get back to my argument about that I've made many videos about beer and them wanting to put stuff in it to discourage people from drinking so that they behave better and drink less through negative reinforcement. In my case, a sore throat. People go, well, the government makes money out of liquor sales. Why would they do such a thing? Not everyone in the government does. Only the liquor administration of the government does, and they do whatever it is they do with that money. They don't share it with everyone in the government. It doesn't work that way. Guess what? It is following some undisclosed path, and yeah, these are damn serious subjects, and it's a wonder someone can talk about them freely on the internet, and nobody says a word about it. Not a fucking word. Now you tell me that isn't weird, at least to my face anyway. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of bad things to say, but at the end of the day, it's better to go. We'll just we'll go with the flow, but we decide what that flow is, and hope for the best. Anyway, talk to you people later. Have a good one, and fuck you if you don't like me, but I don't really care what you think, so whatever. Anyway, see ya.